G'day and welcome to the lab. Today what we're going to do is something a little bit different. We'll have a full rundown of what we're up to with this 1969 Nissan Gloria Super Deluxe with a VK56DE supercharged, still in supercharged V8 in the front of it. So those of you who have been following the channel, you know all the details. All you newbies who might have just started and some of the details haven't shown up yet, or you don't want to watch a significant amount of videos, then this one will be for you. You can quickly sit down for maybe 15 minutes and get the whole deal, exactly what's going on with this beastie. Alright, let's get into it. We'll start in the boot because that's probably the easiest and tidiest looking thing on the car at the moment, although it's not finished. Still, we have to remove a lot of old sound dampening material, clean off a lot of surface rust, and tidy that up in general. It goes right through the whole floor and spare tyre well, etc. Speaking of spare tyre, that can't stay there like that anymore. Reason being the stud pattern is incorrect. That's for the original stud pattern on the Gloria that would work. However, we're 5x114.3 now. That's probably something like, I don't know, 5x140 or something. It's a real old school hard case stud pattern that's not going to fit on our current setup. So what we've got in here, that's an Aeromotive A1000 fuel pump and a primary and secondary filter. So that's just as per what was found in the donor car for all the parts for this project. That was the Nissan Silvia drift car that we pulled to pieces to get pretty much all the hardware, except for a few bits and pieces that, you know, we needed to change up. So that's the battery is under a custom aluminium case. I've made that. Plenty of clearance around the terminals. Don't worry, it's not going to short out on that unless you have a significant crash and basically destroy the car before that's going to be a problem. That's the surge tank as per what was in the Silvia. It's just been mounted on this. We fabricated this so that you can still get your spare tyre in and out and have a nice usable boot. By the time that's got a cover over here and there's carpet over this general area, you'll still quite happily be able to chuck a couple of suitcases in there, no worries at all. And that's the original lift pump that was used from the factory fuel tank, which is still sitting in the car there. That pump just ran up to the front to the regulator on the carburetor system on the L28, converted to L30 with triple carbs on the side of it. So there's no reason why that pump won't supply enough volume to sort this out. That is it's a very big pump for what we're doing. It's probably overkill. As I said though, it's what's come out of the Silvia, so we already had it. It will do the job, might as well use it. It's all brand spanking new. Some of these cables you see kicking around in here, that's to do with a stereo install that was done prior to the car coming here. So that was partially completed, and cables are kind of kicking around all over the place, but hey, that's the way it is. We'll tidy that up as we go. So we'll have a look inside the car. The basics of what's going on here. Excuse the front bumper stored inside the car. I probably should have put that somewhere else. Hey, never mind. Custom transmission tunnel to fit the CD09 350 GT Skyline gearbox, significantly larger than the 5-speed box that was in the car. These are aftermarket bucket seats, so there's, you probably can't see them, just behind the seatbelt reel there. The custom mounts in there to fit those. Originally it had a bench seat in the front of it. Excuse me if that was a loud noise and gave you a fright. So we're now floor change. The 5-speed box that was in this when we took it apart, not the original box for the car, and that was a floor change as well, but it was a strange system where it sort of came out from underneath the bench seat and had a dog leg gear lever, and well, that was real weird. It worked, but it was really odd. Very untidy wiring in here at the moment, partway through the job. So that all goes through the firewall onto the engine harness, and there's a whole heap of other stuff there. Some of that has to go to the dash, some has to go to the electronic drive-by-wire pedal that's yet to be installed. Actually, that reminds me, that's probably a fun job. I might do that very shortly. So you can see on the steering column, there's big slot on the side of it, right smack bang in the middle of your screen right now. So it was originally a column shift column, and it had all the mechanism for that was still there. So that's all now being removed to convert that that whole system from a steering box to a steering rack. So I can show you that on the other side when we get around to that. That wasn't as loud as the first one, was it? It's better. So we're running 19-inch wheels on it now, and we've converted to McPherson strut on the front end. So we've got 8.5-inch wheels, 19 by 8.5-inch wheels on the front, 19 by 9.5-inch wheels on the rear. So the only thing from the outside of the car, you'll have to excuse a few pieces missing, quite obviously. The only thing that's going to look any different is perhaps the ride height, position of the exhaust tips, wheels, and you might see this little extension that we've added along here with the lightning holes in it. That's been added so that we could get our radiators in the right position, and we could modify and attach these caster arm mounts without having really big ugly angles on them and making things quite weak. So I'll lift the car up, I'll show you everything underneath, and then we'll get it down on the floor. I'll take the bonnet off and show you what's happening in there. So what's happening underneath the back of the car is more or less same but bigger. So it did have a 4-link rear end in it already. It's a bit hard to see from here. There you go, there's the top arms. So it did have a 4-link rear end in it. However, it looked like it was maybe a Toyota Hilux diff or something along those lines. It was a 4.1 ratio and it was an open diff. So with 500 to 600 horsepower supercharged V8 going through that, not a good idea. So this is a Ford 9-inch diff with a limited slip center in it with a 3.55 ratio or something like that, 3.35. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Suitable ratio. It's got Ford Explorer disc rotors on there with the Nissan GTR calipers. So we do have to do a little shim in between the pads. I'll get around to that at some point in time. These are the original shocks that were in the car. So we've got the Chrysler shop to do us a custom mount set up here so we can adjust the ride height to get that bang on. At the moment, I've still got to remove the crush tube from the chassis there and take that bolt out and replace it with a decent mount system instead of having that whole deal in single shear. You should just be able to see that. Sorry, it's a bit poor lighting under here. So just talking about the exhaust tips, we'll have one pipe out either side, just to the rear of the rear wheel arch. So that's what's happening there. Obviously twin stainless steel 2.5-inch exhaust system, Kobe mufflers, and resonators fabricated by myself here at the lab. So they are stainless steel outer, fiberglass inner, and a perforated steel tube. And the reason why we use steel is stainless steel will work hard and fracture and fall to pieces eventually. So we don't have currently a drive shaft in here, and we're not likely to be able to get one during the lockdown. That's something that's quite significant engineering, and not really supposed to be doing that sort of stuff during the lockdown. We don't have enough pieces to do it ourselves. Excuse the mess. There's 2 drive shafts there actually, one from the original Gloria setup and the one from the Sylvia that everything was stolen out of. So we've got a yoke and an end to go onto here, but we don't have what we need to go onto there, and we don't have a bit of tube and all that, so we're way short. But anyway, you can see the transmission tunnel's been cut out, modified. Excuse all the soot on here from when it was all welded together. So that's significantly larger hole through here to make that fit than what it had originally. These extractors were in the Sylvia already, so although I didn't actually technically fabricate those, they have been modified to make it work in this setup. So pieces of tube like this, these are all chopped and changed. As you can see, some of the welding's different to some of the other welding. So a little bit of a fiddle to make those work. did have a dry sump system in the Silvia, so we've ditched that and put an original VK56DE sump back on there, and then chopped and changed it to suit that. It's probably going to get chopped and changed some more. It's probably not ideal at the moment, and there's a couple of, I've got to repair a small hole here somewhere that I've noticed and all that sort of carry on. So white line sway bar, Nissan Silvia Megan Racing lower control arms. I think they might be teen adjustable coilovers based on the green and the yellow and all that. That's what I think they probably came from. Standard knuckles, S13 knuckles, GTR calipers and rotors. So the big thing that's changed in the front here, full custom chassis rails. So the original setup in the front of this car was double wishbone, and it had a curved cross member, and it had curved chassis rails that tucked right into the engine bay area and would have made it impossible to fit this engine combination in the front of this car. So all of this stuff that you see in this electrogalv colour is all brand new, fabricated specifically to make all this work. Some of it's to replace this piece here, is exactly as it was from the factory, but it was rusted as hell, so that's just to replace that. Up there you'll see the Stillen intercooler radiator. This is a water-to-air intercooler, so that's for the purpose of cooling the coolant for the intercooler. In behind here, that's a factory Silvia steering rack. Whoops, excuse me, crashing the gimbal. And then quite a tight fit up there past the headers, but we've got enough clearance. We do need some heat shielding of some description up in that area, and then that all runs up through to the top. Looks like it must have been a relatively new gearbox. The car can't have done a lot of Ks that this came out of. The oil that was in it was very, very clean, and as you can see, it's still got stickers on it, so that hasn't been pressure washed off or anything like that. However, you can see there's a little bit of corrosion under there, so yeah. Right, let's go and have a look up the top. There it is, VK56DE with still in the supercharger kit from Nissan Titan on the top of it. Intercooler cooling system header tank mounted in behind the grille here. So basically you won't be able to see that unless the bonnet's open. That's the radiator overflow tank or header tank. Again, behind the grille, under the bonnet. Custom 2.5-inch aluminium intake system, twin filters, one on each side, as per what the customer requested. This left us with a bit of a conflict with the radiator. So the radiator is mounted quite low in there. However, it's I think it's something like a 45mm core or something like that. It's quite a thick radiator, decent enough surface area there. Don't think we'll have any issues with cooling, but we'll see how we go. If we do, we'll build a thicker core, I guess. There's plenty of room to come back towards the engine. So it'll have twin electric fans on there. The brackets are all there, and that's as per what was in the Nissan Silvia, however modified slightly to make it all work in this arrangement. So, and then we've got obviously a full custom wiring harness under construction. Still a long way to go on that. However, we've got a full lockdown on our country at the moment, and we can't buy things like plugs for electronic throttle bodies and things like that. We've got that fuel system continues up in here. Aeromotive fuel pressure regulator mounted there with a twin return going into that, one from each fuel rail. There's the front end of our steering column, significantly modified. Needs a slight tweak on where it is there. There's a bit of a concern on that angle. It's right on the limit of what you can get away with, so we'll try and tweak that a little bit more and reduce that angle. Probably take that second lock-in collar that you can see there. That doesn't actually have to be there. The joint itself will be enough to hold the shaft in position, so I'll probably remove that. That'll take that joint, say 10-15mm back towards the firewall, and straighten out that angle there a little bit. Might need a longer shaft to go from there down to the rack, but plenty of time to sort that out. So that's a that's the I think a BM57 brake master cylinder is found in the naturally aspirated Z32 300 ZX. So that's been mounted onto the Nissan Silvia brake booster, which has then had the firewall tweaked ever so slightly to make that fit onto the Nissan Gloria brake pedal, etc. And that's actually, at the moment, that's just the standard Nissan Gloria brake master cylinder in there, which may have to be changed depending on how the pedal feels with the 350 GT Skyline clutch slave cylinder. It's a bit of a mouthful spitting out some of this stuff. So there's a, as you can see, there's McPherson strut conversion. So obviously, as I explained, electrogalv steel, that's new stuff in there. There's been some structure removed from here, which may have to be replaced depending on what the Low Volume Vehicle Technical Association certification guys say. So that is about where we are at. So still quite a lot of work to go before we can fire it up. Not a heck of a lot. If it was a race car and we had to be going, say, this coming weekend, it's Monday now, I think we could do it. But being a road car and having most of the country in lockdown and unable to source parts or get a tune or anything like that, she's going to be significantly longer than a week to get it running. But that's all right. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Just a bit of a catch up for those of you who are new to the channel, haven't seen it or don't want to watch. I don't know how many videos I've posted up now on this car, but that's basically everything that we've done in a nutshell. So like, share, subscribe. Catch us in the next video. Cheers, bye.